And Mind Crypto here. I hope we're all having a wonderful day. And the title of the video today is Quant Price Prediction for 2024, Master of Predictions. Please remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any further videos. Hit that like button. You'll be doing me a massive favor. Remembering none of this is financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, and none of the information provided in this video should ever be a signal to buy or to sell. But first and foremost, as usual, we look at the crypto bubbles just quickly, and we are seeing an absolute sea of red today. And we're seeing Quant drop down 2 ranks to 64 with a market cap of $1.26 billion with a 24-hour volume of $27 million. Current price for Quant at the moment is $104, currently down 0.6 in the hour, down 4.9% in the day, down 1.2% in the week. Now, as you know, this does not bother me. This short-term price action is exactly what it is, short-term. Now, when I look at the charts, I zoom out, I see Quant is in a nice position. And we've seen this before where it drops down the ranks like we did in 2021, and it absolutely flew up the ranks and flew up in price. And I expect to see that in the future at some point. That's why I'm here. Now, there's been lots of discussion, and I think everybody wants to have a price prediction. Everybody wants to think of that future price. Everybody's motivated by that. We're here for money after all. So recently I did a video on price prediction. This was a study via Cryptocurrencies, and I thought I would come back to this because the final results are in, and we're going to talk a bit more about that in a moment. So we see these tweets from people like Miles Bron. My prediction for Quant will outshine Bitcoin. He says not market cap. Quant price movement will become independent to Bitcoin. Quant will be seen as the next Apple, Microsoft, but for the monetary systems and thoughts. And people agree. People say, yeah, it's going to be in its own category where it will break away from BTC. Someone says agree. And then someone says, what do you think a realistic price will be? It's crazy how stable Quant was during this drop. And then someone else says Quant will definitely be a big player in the new financial system. And then someone says not impossible, but not probable either. Well, these are just opinions. Like, these are my personal opinions when I talk about certain things with regards to Quant. Then we see here from Crypto Nerd, well, technically and fundamentally as well, you can't go wrong with Quant. If you get in now, as the only way is up from here, in his humble opinion, with some minor pullbacks. He says here, first, $2,000, second, $5,000, and third, $10,000. And he's looking at a 2-weekly chart here, breaking the trend and just sitting there. When will it go? And he's got a line of $2,000 to start with. Again, another price prediction. Will it get there? We'll have to wait and see. Will it get there this year? Again, we'll have to wait and see. Then we see this from Nick, the Crypto Crusader. History repeats itself. People laugh at Quant price predictions of $10,000, the same way people laughed at BTC price predictions of $100,000 or $1,000 or $10,000. We will look back in time when Quant is no longer purchasable at $100, $1,000, $10,000, etc. And he says here, if you know, you know. And people, again, got their own opinions. Like, you realize it's dumping again, right? And this was back in 2022. He says, still holding around my accumulation zone. When I did market update on Quant, when we were around $140, I said, be aware of a retest of $105, which we got. This is also my retest area for more buys, more Quant for me. Now, again, people will laugh. People did back then with Bitcoin, if you do your research. So it's just a matter of opinion. Now, we see this from Tokenizer. Price predictions are silly. Nobody, not me or VCs, know what will happen. Max Kaiser said BTC to 200k by December 2021. Didn't happen. Raoul Paul was calling for 40 grand ETH by 2022. Didn't happen. He says here he was calling for Quant at $1,000 by 2022. Didn't happen. Let the market play its course. And again, these are all single points of view. These are all opinions based on one person's view or what they would like. Now, I always like to go back to this. This is an article from Heritage Investment Group. Now, I like this. I like the wisdom of crowds. Now, stay with me because we've got some figures coming up in a moment from a polling that was done and then put together really nice by QR Crypto, which we're going to talk about in a moment. The wisdom of crowd. Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. So we read from here. Investment markers also reap the benefits of crowds, and the wisest investors embrace the investment crowd because, as a whole, the crowd provides us with very valuable information regarding their fair pricing of assets. In fact, the investment crowd generates a peculiar and universally beneficial phenomenon known as the wisdom of crowds. The wisdom of crowds is defined by Investopedia as the idea that large groups of people are collectively smarter than individual experts when it comes to problem solving, decision making, innovating, and predicting. In an investment context, this means that when attempting to determine the fair price of a stock or bond, the aggregate estimate given by the crowd, the current market price, tends to be best estimate of fair price. In other words, it's very difficult for any single investor, even an expert, to be wiser than the wisdom of crowd. And that's absolutely true. As we've seen there, Max Kaiser, Raoul Paul, all trying to predict what might happen within a particular project and never happened. And then we see here, this phenomenon may seem odd or difficult to believe at first, but consider this. For every buyer of a stock, there must be a seller. So by definition, half of the market participants think the stock is a good buy and half think it should be sold. With billions of shares being bought and sold each day, the diverse opinions of thousands of investors are fairly reflected in the resulting stock price. This is what your high school chemistry teacher would cite as an example of equilibrium. The equilibrium price reflects all the information available to the crowd. So in order to beat the market, it's not enough to simply outguess the average investor. You, or the expert you're paying, needs to outguess the collective wisdom of all other investors in the market. And this is truly a Herculean task. The wisdom of crowds is more than just an interesting idea. There's strong data supporting it now. For instance, a 2017 study conducted by Dimensional Fund Advisors indicates that only 17% of stock fund managers and only 18% of bond fund managers were able to beat their respective markets over the latest 15-year period. In addition, the study indicates that those few managers who do outperform over a given time period tend not to outperform in future time periods. Thus, there is very little consistency around any ability to outperform the wisdom of crowds. And it is likely that most of those experts who did happen to outperform the crowd did so due to luck rather than skill. Now, this is very, very eye-opening. And this is why I like to spend my time not just on Twitter, not just on Reddit, but looking at all sorts of factors, listening to people, finding out what they think so that I can draw some meta-analysis around their thought process and how they got there, what figures they come to. Now, so Crypto Q came up with this. Now, I've done these before, but he really went into it. And I really like stuff like this because it provides real data, although small, because there was only 70 participants in this and we're reliant on 70 people's views. Now, if we were going to do a broader study, we would want to get maybe couple of thousand to be able to make this really more spot on. But if we look at this table here that was produced by Crypto, which is really, really, really good. I like stuff like this because it provides real core data. And as we can see here, we've got people coming up with all sorts of figures, $3,277 by the end of 2024, to 340 to 132, 175, 2025. So what we do is we take all these numbers and then we add them up and then we get a mean average, which is quite important. So all the really out there figures that people might say, well, 3,277 is an absolute farce. It's never going to get there. But then we've got people that would say over here, $40. Well, that's the other end. But the large sum and the smaller sum really cancel themselves out. And then we get to more of the middle sums where people think 956, or we've got 500 or 785 or 777, that 77 number which people always like. Now, but if we look at the real data from this and we devise and we look at what it actually means. Now, he's put side notes here. I think these are quite important. So we've got the highest prediction at 3277 and we've got the lowest at 44. If we find the average from those 70 predictions or guesses, we come to this $935 per quant in 2024. Now, I actually think that's very, very reasonable. Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to look at that and think, wow, only a 9x from where we are. Not quite a 9x, but only a 9x. Now, this could be right, or we need to broaden our scope across maybe a couple of thousand and get a better sort of view. So every one of these people that has done their research on quant Every one of them, some of them, like I say, are out there. Some of them are more spot on. But most people have done their research on quant and have got an idea of where they believe. They're looking at information like myself. They're looking at valuations. They're looking at what's going on with partnerships, all that data, and bringing it all into one and then giving their value. Again, there will be people that will throw silly figures in to try and break the study as such, but it doesn't, because they're going either end. You've got people that are real hopium, and then you've got people that are right down there. Obviously, I think there will be some that believe that quant will go to a lot more than 3,277. I don't think there'll be many that believe it's going to $40. So this figure might be quite low, because obviously we haven't got the participants and only 70. Now, if we'd have got the whole of the quant community with people that really delve into research, and then we get those that aren't so, they again, the people that really research cancel out the ones that don't. So therefore we get that equilibrium again. And that's what's really important to this. The crowd, the wisdom of crowds always beats the single expert or someone that's guessing, because essentially we come to this number. So at the moment, the price, $935. When I did this back in January, the figure I think was slightly lower than that, but there wasn't that many people that had actually put their bids in, or what they thought would be the price, their guess. So we get at the moment a price of 935. I'd like to do a study way bigger than this, but it would require your support and your help to get it out there and get the numbers in. So I may do something. I may speak to the author of this study to see if we can get this out a little bit further, so that we can actually start to get sort of an idea, because I really believe in the wisdom of crowds. I believe in people together coming up with a reasonable price of where they think it will be. So this is only just for 2024. This isn't for 2025 and beyond. I'd love to know what people feel that the price is for maybe 2030. Now, some people will be saying, oh, 2030, that's way away. I look at this as a long-term hold myself. So there you go, guys. Just something to pucker up your lips and get you thinking of what could be possible, and maybe something that someone else could do in the future that I could report on. Remembering, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just here giving you my opinions. So I will catch you later.